What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Sabby. Welcome to another episode of Self Mastery. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, tuning into this video. Today's topic, the benefits of quitting coffee. And I'll tell you why I quit drinking coffee and some of the withdrawal symptoms I went through, but also some of the benefits that I've seen 7-8 months after quitting. As a disclaimer, I do want to say that this video may not be for everybody. If you are currently an avid coffee drinker and you feel like there's nothing wrong with it, then you can click out of this video. This video may not pertain to you. I do feel that this video is for those that have a desire to quit or are curious about some of the benefits that one can experience after quitting coffee. So stay tuned. There's a lot I will share and unpack in this video. Let's get started. So obviously you guys know coffee is a household staple. It's very common. A lot of people drink it throughout the world. Obviously I was an avid coffee drinker as well. Not forever. I mean, as I was growing up, I never really liked drinking hot tea or hot liquids, coffee included. But after college, as I started getting into more of my work life, I was introduced to coffee, I'm pretty sure through my sister. And then it just became, an everyday thing. Obviously, coffee has the drug caffeine in it. And so, once you drink it, it's not like meth, where once you take it, you're hooked forever. It's not necessarily like that. But the smell is enticing, the taste is enticing. And so, once all of those combined, once you drink it, it becomes like this enjoyment, and then you feel this rush of energy and you feel like you can tackle the day, finish tasks you need to. And it's all great and dandy in the beginning. But obviously, as you continue drinking coffee, you realize that you need more and more to make you feel that same sense of that feeling of being high almost, in order to sustain that feeling, right? Because there was a time where literally I would drink coffee or I would get one of those double shot espressos from Starbucks, and right after I would feel the state of elation, feel the state of joy come over me, right? And I'm pretty sure that was from the drug within coffee that was making me feel that kind of way. But continuing on, I drank coffee for many years, but then in early 2021, I had trouble sleeping, and then also I had an anxiety attack, which I've never had before in my life. I've always been a healthy individual. I've always maintained a healthy diet, worked out, and my spiritual health is also on point. I never waver on my spiritual journey, and my mental health is perfect too. I mean, yes, I feel emotions just as everybody else, but anxiety is not something that I've felt commonly before in my life. And so I contribute that anxiety attack in my life to the caffeine that is in coffee. At that time, I was drinking coffee, what's the word? Not steadily, but I was drinking it readily and drinking it, all the time. And so I do feel that contributed to my anxiety/panic attack. So why did I quit coffee? The reason I quit coffee is because of the way I felt around that time in 2021. And I wanted to experiment and try something different. I wanted to see what are some of the changes I will notice, right, after I quit coffee. I wanted to take this journey of, not being dependent upon anything. One thing I want to say as a side note, in my life, I've always been curious and I've always been sort of willing to accept the fact that, we as human beings do not need any single thing, any single substance to feel happy, to feel fulfilled, to feel high, so to speak, and a lot of human beings are addicted to so many different things, whether it be coffee or whether it be sugar, whether it be alcohol or marijuana or different sorts of drugs, right? We all feel like we cannot sustain the high vibrational feelings on our own, and that's honestly a lie. And so what happens is we become dependent upon certain substances to give us a boost or give us energy or give us life or to make us feel good. And I feel like that's also a sham, or it's also it's a lie. It's not the truth, right? And so one thing with me is I've always had this urge and desire to never be dependent upon any substance, because I know that the body itself is meant to be in a frequentially stable state, right? And I feel like any external substance, yes, they can help. It can help you reach certain levels of consciousness, but at the end of the day, the word Satchitananda from Sanskrit means that the truth of consciousness is bliss, right? You don't need any external sources to make you feel blissful or make you feel better, because, that is your normal state of being. Anyways, I digress. Going back to coffee and why I quit. So after I quit coffee, I went through a withdrawal phase, right? There was a lot that I went through. And the first thing that I noticed was I was very lethargic. I was very tired. And that's a given pretty much, because, coffee sort of gives you this false energy. And I want to call it false because it's not really true energy that you can sustain from within. It's something that's like a quick boost from the outside, but what goes up must come down. And so I realized that because my body was so dependent on that caffeine for energy, when I first quit, I couldn't really sustain my own energy. I was very lethargic. I was tired. I didn't have any motivation, any desire to do anything. Also, I found that I was very irritable, moody, quick to anger, just annoyed easily. And I think that's part of withdrawal from any drug, whether it's marijuana, whether it's alcohol. You're going to go through mood changes, and that's something that's just common. It's something that everybody experiences depending on what they quit. Even sugar can make you feel like that. If you have a sugar addiction, it can make you feel like, just moody and make you feel not your best. And so another thing I felt was that I would get these pounding headaches, right? Which I later found out is that, you see, when you are drinking coffee, for some reason, drinking coffee doesn't allow blood to flow to your brain. It sort of prevents blood from going into your brain. And that's where you sort of feel the high from the coffee, right? That's the elation you feel. And that's, I think, with other drugs as well. But when you quit drinking coffee, right, then all of a sudden, all this blood is rushing back to your brain, because that's how it's supposed to be. And, with this increased blood flow to the brain, you're going to start getting pounding headaches. You're going to start getting, headaches all over. And to be honest, my headaches probably lasted, I would say, about a month and a half. It was well over, the time span of actually quitting coffee, I thought it was probably going to be for a couple of weeks, but they lasted for a long time. And so I realized that maybe this coffee that I was putting in my body isn't really the best thing to put, because, why all these headaches, and it didn't make any sense. And then another thing I've noticed was that I drank a lot more water. I was drinking so much water. I feel like my body was almost dehydrated. And it does make sense because, coffee is actually a diuretic, meaning that it dehydrates your body. It squeezes all the water retention from your body. That's why you go to the restroom a lot, Another thing that, bodybuilders will use are caffeine pills, maybe at the end of their shredding phase or their cutting phase, to sort of get that extra water out of their body so they can, really show off their abs and everything like that, if you're familiar with bodybuilding. But, that's one thing I noticed, was that I felt like after quitting coffee, I just kept drinking a lot of water because I was very dehydrated. And on top of that, my appetite did increase as well. So I did eat more food. And that's because, coffee can suppress pretty much your appetite, and so you don't really eat a lot throughout the day because you have this false sense of energy, so you don't really need food as that source of energy. Maybe later on, but for many hours, for several hours, you can go without food when you drink coffee because it just has that effect. And so after 7-8 months, now looking back, I can see a lot of benefits of quitting coffee. Now, you can watch many videos on YouTube. You can also read articles, blog posts throughout the web about the benefits and also the science of all of this. I'm not really going to get too deep into the science of all of this. There's many other videos on YouTube you can watch to sort of get, the facts from the scientists about this. But I will share some of the benefits that I have. I wrote them down on a list last night, and I thought I would share them with you that I've experienced. And so let's start with the first benefit that I experienced after quitting coffee or caffeine. Number one is less anxiety, less stress, right? So as I mentioned before, in 2021, early 2021, I had an anxiety attack, and I contributed to that to drinking coffee. And so after quitting, I noticed that I didn't have so much anxiety. And I feel like the reason is because you see, caffeine or coffee can pretty much increase your levels of cortisol in the body. And cortisol is what you call your stress hormone. And so the higher the levels of cortisol in your body, the higher your body is stressed physically, right? And that's where you get the sympathetic nervous response, is from that high stress, stress levels. And also coffee can increase your levels of adrenaline, right? And so you feel this rush, this, sometimes you can feel sweaty. You can feel like your blood vessels tightening up because, that's really what coffee does. It gives you all this energy and you don't really know what to do with it. And it's sort of like just stuck inside, but that's really the effect it has on your circulatory system, but also your body, But overall, after quitting, I noticed that I haven't had any anxiety. I haven't even had an anxiety attack. And I feel like it's been a blessing to be able to quit coffee, because, anxiety, if you've ever felt it or if you've ever had an anxiety attack, it's really not a good feeling. It never feels good. It just doesn't feel like a state of being that you want to be in for too long, because you honestly feel like you're about to die. That's really what an anxiety attack or panic attack feels like. And I really feel for those that go through those kinds of attacks quite often. There's many other things I can say about anxiety attacks, but they don't pertain to this video. But I do want to say that, if you're going through something like that, look up bioenergetics, because that will help you get rid of any excess anxiety or panic in the body through body movements. It's something that helped me change my life, but I thought I'd pass it on to you guys. But let's move on to benefit number 2 of quitting coffee, is better sleep. One thing I've noticed is I've been able to sleep more soundly, sleep more peacefully, get deeper rest. I feel like my insomnia that started in 2021 was due to the fact that I was still drinking coffee, right? And one thing that I do want to share with you guys is that, you see, coffee has a half-life of about 6 to 7 hours, and, a quarter life of about 12 hours, meaning that it takes your body that long for it to fully get rid of all the molecules of caffeine in your system or in your brain. And so, if you drink coffee at noon, for example, 12 hours from that, at midnight, that coffee or those coffee molecules are still in your brain, right? And they're not going to help you sleep that well. They've done a scientific study. I know I wasn't going to get all sciencey in this video, but I do know this fact is that it decreases your sleep or your deep sleep by about 20%. And that honestly is seen in about people that have aged by 15 years. So that means if you're 30 right now and you drink coffee and you're drinking coffee, maybe 2-3 times a day, you're not getting proper sleep. You're not getting deep sleep. You're almost sleeping like you were 45 or 50 years old, right? Because as you guys know, the older we get, the less deep sleep that we receive, right? And that's just, how the body is. But drinking coffee sort of, speeds up the process of you not getting proper sleep, and so you feel less tired, and then you're stuck in this vicious cycle of drinking more coffee throughout the day because you feel so tired, and then not getting proper sleep, or not getting, you know, the improved quality of sleep. You may be sleeping maybe 7-8 hours and you think you're getting your rest, but you know, you're not getting that quality rest, and that's what matters. And so it's just a vicious cycle. So that's why I would say slowly get off coffee. Maybe you like the taste, maybe you like the smell, go decaffeinate it, right? But then again, it's the caffeine, the drug, that keeps you bringing back. But anyways, the third benefit of quitting coffee is obviously you have better oral hygiene, right? You don't have bad breath, you don't have stained teeth, because, you know, coffee does stain your teeth. It does cause, you know, that coffee breath. And that's just a given. So benefit number 4, I do want to say, is that you save more money, because if you go out right now, the average cup of coffee, you know, in your Starbucks pretty much is like what, $3, $4, $5, depending on what kind you get. And, you know, if you get that every day over the course of a year, that's like what, roughly 5 times 365. That's almost like 1,500, if not more. Right. And then even if you drink coffee at home, you have to buy the Keurig pods, or you have to, you know, if you have Nespresso, you buy those, and you have to buy the fancy coffee machine, and all of that stuff adds up, you know. And I feel like any sort of addiction to any substance causes you to waste money, right? Whether it's cigarettes, whether it's tobacco, whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, right? All of that stuff, you spend money on it, and, you know, you can save money after you quit. That's something, you know, another benefit I've noticed. But going forward, the benefit number 6 I'm going to say is balanced hormones. So you do have balanced hormones, like I was mentioning earlier, that your cortisol goes back to normal, your adrenaline isn't released unnecessarily. Obviously, these hormones are necessary when it comes to, like, you know, you're facing a life and death situation, or you're in like a situation where, you know, it's necessary for these hormones to be released. But, you know, when you quit drinking coffee, you know, they go back to being normal. You're not, you know, messing up your levels. Also, there's a study done that long-term coffee drinking in men can lead to lower levels of testosterone. And that's something you guys can look up on your own time. I don't have the full study with me right now, but that's something you should check out, especially if you're a man and you're heavily addicted to coffee. You know, check up on that, you know, and you will see some of the studies that they've done. But I thought I'd share that in there as well. Benefit number 7 of quitting coffee is lower blood pressure. It just makes sense, right? Because coffee in a way increases your blood flow throughout the body, but, you know, therefore increasing your blood pressure. And then I also was saying earlier that coffee gives you this false sense of energy. You have all this energy inside of you, and you don't even know what to do with it, right? You can go to the gym and you can expend all that energy, but then comes the crash, right? And when the crash comes, then you're yawning, then you're sleepy, then you're tired. And the next thing you know, right, you need another cup, or you need another hit to pick yourself back up. And honestly, long term, this is not sustainable. Long term, it's only going to wear you out, and you're wearing out your adrenal glands drinking all this coffee, to be completely honest with you. And then obviously the blood pressure is bad. You know, you don't want to have high blood pressure. So when you stop drinking coffee, you stabilize your blood pressure, right? Your body's getting back to baseline, and that's really what it's all about. Benefit number 8, you have balanced brain chemistry. As you guys already know, coffee gives you that false high, or that high from, you know, pretty much flooding your brain with a lot of serotonin, you know, that you get. That's why I said earlier, you know, when I used to drink coffee, I used to feel joy. I used to feel elated. I used to feel this sense of happiness, this sense of, like, you know, just being high. I would get giddy. I would get happy. I would feel so, like, you know, in alignment, so to speak. But it was just, you know, the caffeine flooding my brain with all these neurochemicals. And, you know, then after that, I would go back to being normal, right? And then eventually after that, you have a crash. And when you have a crash, you feel sluggish, you feel tired. So, you know, with a more balanced brain chemistry, you're just overall going to be a more stable person. Benefit number 9 of quitting coffee, I would say, is that, your gut health improves. As you guys already have experienced, if you're a coffee drinker, is that drinking coffee can, one, lead to acid reflux, more acidity in your gut, heartburn at times. It can sort of corrode the inner lining of your stomach and intestines because it's very acidic. And then, you guys use the restroom quite a lot. A lot of people that have IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, or GERD, which is, it deals with, indigestion or heartburn, those kinds of, problems. Drinking coffee for them is like a trigger. It triggers their pain, and it triggers them to use the restroom unnecessarily. And it's just not a good feeling to have in your stomach all the time. It's like this uneasy, queasy feeling in your stomach, and it's just not worth it, to be honest. So you do improve your gut health when you stop drinking coffee. And like I mentioned earlier, you become more hydrated, and you start drinking more water because you realize your body has been so dehydrated after quitting coffee, right? Because all that water you pretty much expound out of your system, and that's really what it is. So these are some of the benefits of quitting coffee. There's a lot more benefits you can find online, but I just wrote down a list last night that I've experienced, and that have changed my life. And I feel like if you quit coffee, you don't have to quit permanently. The reason I say that is maybe because you feel like coffee doesn't do any harm to you. Hey man, whatever works for you, continue doing it. But I will definitely say it's good to sometimes fast, or sometimes, take a break to give your body a detox, to give your body, the time to replenish and to get back to baseline and to be healthy once again. And then, you can pick up drinking coffee again. Maybe in the future you might, start drinking decaffeinated coffee, or you might start lowering the amount of cups you drink per day. That's something you have to figure out yourself. But I would suggest that, if you're planning on quitting forever, quit. I went cold turkey. I pretty much, a lot of people say you should lower your amount or your dosage day by day or cup by cup. I literally went cold turkey, and maybe that's why I had crazy headaches, but to be honest, for me, that's just how I roll, right? If I am over something, or if I just give up on something, I just leave it. I don't pick it up again, because I feel like you're still sort of enticing yourself with it, right? Even a cup here and there, you're still sort of on the edge. You're not really fully committed. So for me, full commitment is just to letting it go completely. There are other alternatives as well. I would say you can find great sustained energy by just getting better sleep, right? Or just by retaining your sexual energy, or just by, eating the right kinds of foods, right? Drinking a lot of water, exercising. All this stuff will give you good energy that will sustain you throughout the day. You won't feel a crash. You won't feel like you need to, drink coffee to feel that energy. And one last benefit I just thought of right now is that, that's one thing I've noticed, is that I have more sustained energy throughout the day. Literally, I feel like I can go through my day and I don't get tired until it's, bedtime. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to sleep now. But I don't ever feel like, during 5 or 6 p.m. that I need to go to sleep because my body feels lethargic, because, the caffeine high has sort of gone down. I never feel like that anymore. And so that's something I wanted to share with you guys. Obviously, do what you feel is right for you. At the end of the day, this is just information I thought I'd share in my experience. But thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. This has been another episode of Self Mastery, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Much love. Peace.